I had like almost this existential crisis where I was like, what am I? Am I P or J? I don't get it. Welcome to Typevolution. So this video is going to be about perceiving versus judging. What does it mean if you are a P or J type in personality type theory? So in my personal journey of typing myself and understanding the theory, I came across the roadblock of P versus J, perceiver versus judger. Am I a perceiving type? Am I a judging type? Am I P or J? The interesting thing was, when I looked it up, it just said, oh, P is messy, P is late, P is procrastinating or doesn't finish things. And J is on time, likes deadlines, is not messy, and finishes things, right? And I found this dichotomy very and overly simplistic. I was thinking, I sort of fit into both. I'm like in the middle. I can be messy and I can be organized. I can be on time and I can be late. It kind of depends on my mood or what I'm doing at that point in my life. Or I can be unproductive and I can be quite productive. So how can I figure this out? So then you wonder, okay, what is actually the essence of P versus J, right? That was my question because I couldn't figure it out. I was in this struggle. I had like almost this existential crisis where I was like, what am I? Am I P or J? And I kept reading the descriptions. I kept especially reading INFP versus INFJ. At some point I stumbled across the functions and then I figured it out. And I realized what J and P actually means. But okay, let's go through the three common misconceptions about J or P. And I wrote them down. This overview is a bit messy. Okay, I wrote all my thoughts down, okay? But let's start with number one, messy, right? NP types, not just P, but especially NP, is stereotypically messy, and that's because ordering your environment tends to be correlated with sensing and judging. Yep, in some way. Especially, cleaning and stuff tends to be associated with sensing, But J types can also be messy. Anyone can be messy, basically. It does not really define what P or J is. Being late, punctuality. The perception of time is better with intuitives, especially introverted intuition types like INFJ, INTJ, ENTJ, ENFJ. So this is why I wrote down SP, because yeah, they have weak introverted intuition, so they can lean towards being more late because they have a weaker sense of time, but they can also train it. Especially ISFP and ICP can train it and can be on time, and really anyone can learn to be on time. If you have a job, you have to be on time, right? This is just a normal thing in adult life that you have to learn, and you can learn your punctuality and you can learn being on time and meeting the deadlines. So does that mean that you became a J type? No, not really. 3, unproductive. Unproductive procrastination is commonly associated with IF types like INFJ, INFP, ISFP, INFP. Because productivity, yes, it is associated with extrovert thinking, collecting facts, collecting data, collecting information that helps you structure the world in an effective manner to go from A to B in a very precise, efficient manner. And these types are weak at that. ENTJ, ECJ, INTJ, ISTJ are better at this, and also the other logical types. So this is why it's often associated with IF types. But once again, they can learn to be productive. They can be quite productive in the domain of their specialty, which is usually about, anything that's revolving around introversion and feeling. None of these three things are actually valid pointers about being a perceiver or not. They are all about conscientiousness. And I talked about this in the previous video when I talked about conscientiousness and neuroticism. Not neuroticism, neuroticism. Okay, now I got it right. Once again, oops. Yeah, when I compared these two, and I talked about how this is based on circumstance. Meaning, conscientiousness is not at the core of your personality. It's not. Yes, certain types of people are predisposed towards being more conscientious naturally. And I have to admit, these are mostly the EJ types, ESFJ, ECJ, ENFJ, and ETJ. And I'm going to describe or explain why that is. Because that's actually related to J or P. But anyway, conscientiousness can be improved, can be learned, can be grown. And it tends to be a sign that someone is just, more mature about life, right? To be honest, like as we grow older, we usually become more conscientious because that's what we have to do in order to survive in our adult world. It can be changed, it can be improved. So it's something that is flexible, that is dynamic. Whereas Jungian personality type is not flexible, it's not dynamic. You are born with it, you stick with it through your whole life. This is why if you become more orderly, if you become more punctual, and if you become more productive, it does not mean that you become a J-type. It just means you've become more conscientious, which is a good thing. Now let's go to the essence of what P or J actually is. I'm so excited about this because this is one of my biggest pet peeve in this entire theory and in this entire community, which causes so many mistypes, okay? Alright, so the essence of perceiving and judging. In MBTI, the J or P dichotomy is based on how the individual interacts with the external world. Do they judge it or do they perceive it primarily? Of course, there can be a few issues when you look at introverts versus extroverts, because introverts use their first function mostly. But let's just stick with the overall description, okay? So you can ask yourself, what's the main way of how you deal with the external environment? Extroverted Sensing, SE. Do you take in information? Do you perceive the information of objects and their external properties, like the way they look, the way they seem to have impact, influential properties, especially like looking at what is weak, what is strong, what is durable, what is brittle, all these properties, and you look at these with everyone, objects, people, you look at how they look, like you're very specific in the way you do that. It's like you almost scan them. That's just extroverted sensing. It's like you scan the environment. But you take it in, you just take in that information. You like being in environments that have a lot of sensory impressions on you, Whereas like INFP and INTP types, they often struggle with sensory overload. Also other intuitive types, but this is not the case with people who have extroverted sensing as their first or second function. And those are ESFP, ECP, ISFP, and ISTP. Okay? If you're like this, you are a perceiving type. That's it. Okay, extroverted intuition. Once again, you perceive the environment, you take in the information, the external environment, but it's about discovering potentials, discovering ideas, discovering and seeing what the world could be like, what could this be like, what could this person be like, what kind of potential do they carry, what kind of ideas do they evoke in you. It's very fast. Extroverted intuition tends to be like a very mentally fast information metabolism. So it goes like ding, 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 like all these connections, boom, 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 boom. And this is something that ENFP, ENTP, INTP, and INFP have. They do that a lot. And if that's not you, you are a J-type. If you cannot relate to these, and this is about the primary way of how you deal with the external environment. You might be a type that has SE at a lower functionality, like, or or NE, or you can do it also, but it's not your main way of doing it, and it's not your preferred way of doing it. That's the other thing. Your automatic way of dealing with the world and your preferred version of dealing with it. So let's come to the judging. Okay, what actually makes you a J-type? FE. So FE primarily looks at the external moods, atmospheres, standards, etiquette, and so forth. With FE, it's also very situational. So every group has a certain emotional atmosphere, has a certain vibe going on. And with extroverted feeling, you mostly check people's, you very much focus on people's facial expressions. You very much focus on your own, how you have to come across to them. You focus on, what are they expressing? What kind of emotion are they expressing? It's how do I make myself fit into this environment, or how do I monitor this environment, or how do I influence this emotional environment to a desired outcome. Oftentimes the focus is more on laughter. So FE is very much focused on outward expression and like facially. It's like facial recognition. Emotional expression is often misunderstood. Extroverted feeling is more of an external observation. It's in the sense like TE. So external thinking, extroverted thinking, TE tends to be about external facts that are indisputable. So I mentioned before on my blog, it's like saying the capital of Germany is Berlin. These are like external facts about the world, which are indisputable, but what differentiates this from extroverted sensing is you cannot see that Berlin is the capital of Germany. You cannot really see it. You cannot really see it unless you see a sign in the environment that says Berlin. That would be the extroverted sensing version of it. Okay, but back to extroverted feeling. So extroverted feeling is also about external facts, but about the emotional world, about the world of people, basically. So it's about picking up on these things, like, okay, this person is in a bad mood. This is kind of what FE is doing. It's like picking up on these things that you can observe in the external environment and that are like norms. So FE is also concerned with, okay, so what are the standards in this particular social or external situation amongst people? How am I expected to behave? This is like the etiquette part of it. How am I expected to behave? Am I supposed to smile? Am I supposed to laugh? Am I supposed to, look sad? Am I supposed to hold it back? This is a very FE line of thinking. This applies to ENFJ, ESFJ, INFJ, and ISFJ. And the extrovert thinking applies to ENTJ, ESTJ, INTJ, ISTJ. That's what it is. That's it. That's actually it. That is what judging versus perceiving is. So, if you have any more questions, you can make the comments down below. You can also have a free coaching or consulting session with me. The first one is always free. You find the links all down below. If you want me to type you in, in the Jungian system or in Socionics, you can also do that. Find the link down below. That is not free, however. And you can also join our group. And yeah, that's it. Please subscribe. And yeah, tell me what you think. Did that change the way you see your own type or the type of other people? Okay, that's it. Have a good day. Bye.